This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Monday, June 3rd, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Lawmakers and Donald Trump's legal team continue to react to last week's guilty verdict in New York. I'm John Stolnis.
Police in Akron, Ohio say one was killed when gunfire broke out at a street party. I'm Jackie Quinn.
The first big wildfire of the season started over the weekend in California. I'm Pamela Furr.
Arrests were made as New York City held its annual Salute to Israel parade with the largest security measures ever put in place for the event.
On Wall Street, a winning May is in the books for stocks. June trading begins this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Trial for a president's son gets underway today.
One World War II veteran says he's proud to be part of the greatest generation. I'm Sagar Meghani.
All ahead on America in the Morning. As we turn the page on the month of May, reaction continues pouring in from all sides in the wake of Thursday's historic guilty verdict of former President Donald Trump by a jury in New York. John Stolnis has more from Washington.
In an interview on Fox and Friends, Trump was asked about the possibility of being placed under house arrest or in prison following his conviction on all 34 counts of business fraud last Thursday.
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, "Oh, no, you don't want to do that to the president." I said, you don't beg for anything. You just, the way it is.
But the former president did say he wasn't sure how the public would react to a sentence like that.
I don't know that the public would stand it, I'm not sure the public would stand for it. With a,
if you tried house arrest or
I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point.
Sentencing is scheduled to take place on July 11th, just days ahead of the Republican National Convention. Trump allies continue to blast the case as political retribution and the weaponization of the government. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Fox News Sunday noting New York Attorney Alvin Bragg has been called to testify before the House Judiciary Committee next Thursday.
The purpose of the hearing is to investigate what these prosecutors are doing at the state and federal level to use politics, political retribution in the court system to go after political opponents.
Trump and his lawyers have complained about his inability to receive a fair trial in a Democratic stronghold like New York. Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff on CNN's State of the Union says there's a simple way to avoid that.
If you don't want to be tried in New York, don't commit crimes in New York. But he got the same due process as any other person, and that's exactly the way it should be.
The Trump campaign reportedly raised $35 million the first day after Trump was convicted, and Republican National Committee co-chair Lara Trump tells CNN's State of the Union the RNC raised $70 million in the first 2 days. How much of that will go to pay for his legal fees?
Everybody has an option whenever they donate to our joint fundraising agreement to opt out of it. It is a very small percentage of the money that we take in. And so I would have to say we'll wait and see what is necessary in the future. Obviously, this has been a very costly thing, not just for Donald Trump and his campaign, but for America.
In the Fox and Friends interview, Trump claimed he is the opposite of a threat to democracy, instead calling President Biden a danger to our country. I'm John Stolnis.
More than 24 people were shot. One man lost his life when gunfire erupted during an outdoor party in Akron, Ohio over the weekend. As Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports, the police were left with a large crime scene but very little information on who opened fire, as explained by Akron Police Chief Brian Harding, who said it was not the first call officers responded to that night.
Just after midnight, patrol responded again to the same location on Kelly Avenue after the dispatch center received shots fired calls, as well as multiple gunshot victims arriving at area hospital emergency rooms. Between EMS and self-transports, it was later found that there had been 25 people total who were injured.
Police say it happened just after midnight on the eastern side of Akron, where a giant outdoor party was taking place.
The latest update we have is that of the 25 victims, at least 2 remain in critical condition this evening, in addition to several who have been admitted with injuries and the one individual who sadly passed away. Some victims were treated and released from the hospital, and the victims range in age from 19 to 43, with most of the victims in their 30s.
Witnesses tell local media there were hundreds of people outdoors. Some women were dancing up on cars, and everyone appeared to be having a good time. But then gunfire broke out. Police say dispatchers received multiple 911 calls. Then victims started arriving at emergency rooms. It appears 24 people were shot. One of them is dead.
I want to be clear. We believe there are people in the community this evening who saw something or know something, and we are asking them to come forward. We believe there were dozens of people at the party at the time of the shooting and potentially over 100 people who may have witnessed the incident. Every single person who may have seen something has an obligation to speak up in order to bring those responsible to justice. Even a small detail can help us crack this case and locate the suspect or suspects involved.
I'm Jackie Quinn.
Those are the top stories of the day, sponsored by Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed for a limited time only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com. Police presence heavy at New York's Salute to Israel parade when America in the Morning returns after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Rain continues in the Pacific Northwest with today's forecast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
In the Northwest, a strong storm has brought a good amount of rain to the region, which will continue first thing this morning in Washington and Oregon before extending eastward into the eastern parts of each state into Idaho and Montana. A few of the storms in Montana could be gusty with small hail. The same system will also produce winds outside of thunderstorms known as Chinook winds, where gusts will range from 50 to 70 miles per hour with an AccuWeather local storm max of 80 miles per hour. This storm will move into the northern plains tomorrow with more severe thunderstorms likely to develop. In the southwest, it'll be largely dry. There'll be increasing amounts of sunshine southward to Arizona and New Mexico, and afternoon temperatures will be in the 70s in the north and warm to over 100 degrees in the south. There were severe thunderstorms in the plains yesterday into the early morning hours through the Dakotas and Nebraska into Minnesota and western Iowa. And as we continue to track this storm in Canada and the associated cold front moving through the north central states, there will be more showers and heavier thunderstorms through portions of Wisconsin into Michigan and southward to eastern Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. And another feature running through the southern plains will produce additional heavier showers and thunderstorms through portions of Oklahoma into Texas and eastward through Arkansas and Louisiana. Each of these locations will have the potential for flash flooding, damaging winds, and even a tornado. Farther to the east, there'll be some scattered afternoon thunderstorms in the southeast and extending northward through the Mid-Atlantic into Pennsylvania and New Jersey, as well as southern New York. It'll be mostly dry in New England, westward to the Great Lakes, with a good amount of sunshine. We'll have highs in the 70s and 80s. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. 2 firefighters injured as the first big California wildfire of the season begins near San Francisco. Pamela Furr has details.
It started as a grass fire and quickly spread thanks to Mother Nature. Wind conditions pushing flames near the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory to over 14,000 acres with only 30% contained. Interstate 580 that connects northern to southern California was closed for a time. Cal Fire Battalion Chief Josh Silvera tells Sacramento's KXTV.
With the late season rains we have a tremendous grass crop this year. It came up about 4 feet and was very thick. Light flashy fuels burn really fast.
There are at the very least 400 personnel battling this fire. We're told at least 2 firefighters have been injured but will be okay, and thousands of people are being asked to evacuate.
We're hoping to keep fire moving away from the populated areas and into the more rural foothills.
The coming week will be difficult as an excessive heat watch across the valley and adjacent foothills will be in effect for Tuesday into Thursday. I'm Pamela Furr.
A peaceful day in New York City for the annual Salute to Israel parade. Correspondent Julie Walker reports it was the first parade to honor Israel since the war began in Gaza. NYPD ordered to arrest anyone who disrupted Sunday's event.
An annual New York City parade for Israel that draws thousands of people hits the streets with a focus on solidarity during the war in Gaza and heightened security. NYPD Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry.
You'll see more of our special operations and our counterterrorism assets.
The parade is the first large-scale Jewish event in the city since the war started. Mayor Eric Adams.
We are not going to allow any unlawfulness and any disruption of any a celebration of one's heritage in this city.
This year's theme for the Israel Day on 5th Parade is Bring Them Home, a reference to the Jewish hostages. Julie Walker, New York.
When we return on America in the Morning, the debut of Jeep's all-electric SUV and what's making business headlines after these messages. Thanks for listening. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is sponsored by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, always putting clients' interests first. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. A new month begins for traders on Wall Street. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a wild Friday for stocks. After inflation cooled in April and bond yields pulled back, the Dow ended last Friday up 574 points. The S&P 500 index had its first losing week in the last 6, but a winning May is in the books. For the month, the Dow up 2%, the S&P 500 index up 4%. The NASDAQ was up 6%.
The market itself has been a bit erratic. The April pullback of 5% maybe was somewhat incomplete. You didn't really refresh people's need to get bullish again because they never got bearish.
CNBC's Mike Santoli. June is often a lackluster month for stocks, but in election years, it tends to be a winner, according to the Stock Traders Almanac. Moderna's RSV vaccine for seniors was approved by the FDA. That's the company's second product. Jeep is out with an all-electric Wagoneer SUV. It is pricey, but parent company Stellantis tells CNBC a much more affordable Jeep EV is coming.
The Wagoneer S starts $71,000, and I understand that that's, by design. Most people are saying, well, we need our electric vehicles down closer to $35,000, $40,000. When does Jeep get down to that price range?
Soon, and even lower. We are working on a project that will deliver to the global markets, starting from U.S., a Jeep, a real Jeep, at $25,000.
Jeep CEO Antonio Filosa with CNBC's Phil LeBeau.
Trump's conviction last week, will that have any bearing on Wall Street today?
It really hasn't yet, and many investors say it won't. But in terms of money, being convicted on those 34 counts of election interference by falsifying business records to cover up the affair with an adult film star to influence the 2016 election was good for the campaign bank account. The former president raised a record $34.8 million shortly after the verdict.
Donald Trump raised so much money off of it. Even so, they're not going to defend him because of his behavior. They're going to defend him because of his policies.
FIL Inc. pollster Frank Luntz on CNBC. Meantime, big money investors are speaking out about things like greed and morality. A tech icon and venture capitalist told CNBC he's worried.
People are so focused on their pocketbook and not really thinking about democracy, the total country. But I'm concerned about what Donald Trump stands for. I mean, I think it stands for issues that concern me and concern my children and grandchildren, and I worry about it.
Primetime Partners founder Alan Patrikoff on CNBC.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger with a check of Monday business headlines. When we return on America in the Morning, remembering D-Day after these messages. This is America in the Morning. In what is another legal first for our nation, Hunter Biden is set to stand trial this morning on felony gun charges in a historic case that could impact President Joe Biden's re-election campaign. This is the first time in American history that the child of the sitting president is going on trial. The indictment was brought by the Justice Department and David Weiss, the special counsel appointed last year to oversee the Hunter Biden probes. The 54-year-old Biden is accused of illegally purchasing and possessing a gun while being addicted to drugs, a violation of federal law. He's pleaded not guilty to 3 charges he faces in the incident, though he has been open about his struggles with substance abuse. This week, we honor our veterans as we reach the 80th anniversary of D-Day, the day when American-led forces fought their way into France, the start of the end of World War II. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports on one veteran who says he's proud to be part of the greatest generation.
Andy Negara Jr. had just finished high school in 1943 and thought about going to college. Instead, he was drafted.
It didn't bother me one way or the other. The way I looked at it, I was drafted. I'm being called for a purpose. There was a war going on, so I went along with everybody else.
Negara landed on Utah Beach during D-Day and will be back in Normandy for the 80th anniversary. This week, he turned 100. Negara says the greatest generation moniker fits because we saved the world.
To me, it was a job well done.
And one that needed to be done for peace, freedom, and a good life.
Do the right thing. That's what we fought for.
I'm Sagar Meghani.
On a personal note, my wife's father, on D-Day, parachuted into Normandy under German fire. Like so many of those brave souls, he's no longer with us today and received the Purple Heart and Bronze Star. America in the Morning for Monday, June 3rd, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Donald Trump says he's okay with the prospect of potential jail time or house arrest. I'm Julie Walker.
The Israeli leaders offer to address Congress, and more details learned about an Ohio gas explosion.
Ukraine's president has accused China of pressuring other countries not to attend to upcoming Ukraine peace talks. I'm Karen Shamas.
An historic change in leaders in Mexico and an apology handed out over a 2020 election movie.
The Garfield movie was the top pick for movie audiences this weekend. I'm Archie Zaraletta with the latest.
Jennifer Lopez had to cancel her arena tour, which might be a bad sign for the concert business. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The chance for thunderstorms tops weather as we begin the month of June. With today's forecast, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
There were several severe thunderstorms in the plains yesterday into the early morning hours through the plain states from the Dakotas and Nebraska into Minnesota and western Iowa. Some of these storms could lead to a slow start to the day for these areas. As we continue to track a storm in Canada and the associated cold front moving through the north central states, more showers and heavier thunderstorms can be expected through portions of Wisconsin into Michigan, southward to eastern Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. Another feature running parallel to the northern system in the southern plains will produce additional heavier showers and thunderstorms through portions of Oklahoma into Texas and eastward through Arkansas and Louisiana. Each of these locations will have the potential for flash flooding, damaging winds, hail, and even a tornado. Farther east, there will be some scattered afternoon thunderstorms through the southeast and extending northward through the mid-Atlantic into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, as well as southern New York. It will be mostly dry in New England to the eastern Great Lakes with a good amount of sunshine and highs in the 70s and 80s. Meanwhile, in the northwest, a strong storm brought a good amount of rain to the region, which will continue first thing this morning in Washington and Oregon before extending eastward into the eastern parts of each state and into Idaho and Montana. A few of the storms in Montana could contain gusty winds and small hail. This same system will also produce strong winds outside of thunderstorms, known as Chinook, where gusts could range from 50 to 70 miles per hour. That's the weather across America. Davenport, Iowa will have clouds and breaks of sunshine today with a few showers and a heavier thunderstorm and a high of 82. Santa Fe, New Mexico will have plenty of sunshine today with a warm afternoon and a high of 88. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Former President Donald Trump says that if he is sentenced to a term behind bars, he will not have issues going to prison. Correspondent Julie Walker reports the former president, in an exclusive interview with Fox News, discussed a number of topics about the case. He proclaims he's innocent, and his attorneys will be appealing the decision. He also discussed the potential for going to jail and even his plans for the deportation of millions of migrants using local police if he's reelected.
So you'll get rid of 10 really bad ones, and one, beautiful mother who they think is guilty of something, and maybe she is, maybe, and it'll become a story, or a family that's a good family and came in wrong, and they're going to show it. Then it's going to always be tough. It's not going to be easy.
Donald Trump says in an interview on Fox News he's okay with the prospect of potential jail time or house arrest following his hush money conviction.
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, "Oh no, you don't want to do that to the president." I said, "Don't beg for anything."
But adds his supporters may not be okay with it.
I don't know that the public would stand it. I'm not sure the public would stand for it. With a
tried house arrest or
I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point.
The former president also says he did not say lock her up about Hillary Clinton, despite it being on tape.
I could have done it, but I felt it would have been a terrible thing. And then this happened to me. And so I may feel differently about it. I can't tell you. I'm not sure I can answer the question. Hillary Clinton, I didn't say lock her up, but the people would all say lock her up, lock her up. Okay.
Trump maintains he did nothing wrong and plans to appeal the verdict. He will be sentenced July 11th. I'm Julie Walker.
Congressional leaders have invited Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to deliver an address at the Capitol to a joint session of Congress. The invitation comes after House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, both Republicans, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, both Democrats, jointly made the offer for Israel's leader to speak. They jointly said the invitation was extended to highlight America's solidarity with Israel. It's not known if Netanyahu will meet with President Biden when he comes to Washington. Biden has had issues with Netanyahu's leadership during the ongoing war with Hamas, especially where it comes to civilians in Gaza. However, Biden lambasted the International Criminal Courts, accusing Netanyahu and other Israeli leaders with claims of war crimes. And Biden's peace plan for Gaza has received support from Egypt and Qatar, who are also trying to mediate an end to the violence. No date for the congressional address was announced. More is being learned about that Ohio explosion that left one person dead and tore the facade from a building. Covering that story, correspondent Lisa Dwyer.
The National Transportation Safety Board says a crew working in the basement area of an Ohio building intentionally cut a gas line, not knowing it was pressurized before a deadly explosion this week. The preliminary investigation shows workers were in the basement to clear out piping and other outdated infrastructure. The report says workers knew there was a problem when they made the third cut. Workers then pulled the fire alarm and alerted people to evacuate. Investigators are working to determine why the pipe was pressurized. Tuesday's explosion blew out much of the ground floor of Realty Tower, killing a bank employee and injuring several others. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Tensions between Russia and Ukraine spill beyond their borders, and Ukraine's president's now blaming another world leader for not helping to end the conflict. Correspondent Karen Shama's reports.
Ukraine's president has accused China of pressuring other countries not to attend upcoming Ukraine peace talks.
Yes, we are disappointed that some world leaders have not yet confirmed their participation in the peace summit. Unfortunately, there are also attempts to disrupt the summit.
Speaking at Asia's premier security conference in Singapore, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that China was hampering peace in Ukraine. To do everything so that leaders do not come to the peace summit, to push them, pressure them, that definitely does not bring peace closer. And that is not only support to Russia, that is basically support of war.
We do not want to believe that This is a desire for monopolistic power in the world to deny the global community the opportunity to decide on war and peace, and to leave this power in the hands of one or two.
China has staked out what it says is a neutral position on the war, putting it at odds with Ukraine, the United States and most of Europe. Its trade with Russia has grown, easing the economic impact of Western sanctions.
It is limited to the Kharkiv region, and it is limited with respect to the kinds of targets they can hit and how far back they can go.
Energy shutdowns have hit Ukraine after a Russian attack on energy infrastructure. The shutdowns were in place in all but 3 regions of Ukraine, following Russia's drone and missile attack on energy targets that injured at least 19 people. Ukraine's state-owned power grid operator said the shutdowns affected both industrial and household consumers. Meanwhile, in Kyiv, nearly 1,000 people attended a ceremony honouring the memory of Ukrainian journalist Irina Sibuch. She was killed in action while serving as a volunteer combat medic in the Kharkiv region, where Russia started its offensive nearly a month ago. I'm Karen Shamas.
Water problems continue in Flint, Michigan, and new troubles for Ticketmaster. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. A new problem for the millions of Ticketmaster account holders. Bob Brown reports following an antitrust lawsuit last week, the company says it's been the victim of a data breach.
Cybersecurity experts say if you use Ticketmaster, you should change the password on your account following the recent disclosure of a data breach affecting more than 500 million customers. Live Nation, the parent company of Ticketmaster, confirming it's investigating the breach. Cyber analysts say hackers identified as the Shiny Hunters have claimed responsibility. Live Nation reportedly noticed the breach last month and is cooperating with authorities. As if Live Nation and Ticketmaster didn't have enough problems with the Department of Justice and more than 24 state attorneys general accusing Ticketmaster of monopolizing the industry.
We know the impact. Americans pay the highest prices for tickets and the highest fees of any other country.
New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin on News Nation.
Their practices, whether it be retaliating against competitors, entering into these exclusive deals where you can only use Ticketmaster, has resulted in serious harm to the residents of the state.
Ticketmaster coming under fire this year from customers who were shut out from buying tickets from Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. Taylor Swift fans filing a class action lawsuit against the company. I'm Bob Brown.
Flint, Michigan residents who've been living with torn-up properties for years due to the replacement of water pipes may finally get some relief. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
The state of Michigan says it will step in and oversee the repairs of properties that were torn up during the Flint water crisis after a judge in March found the city in civil contempt for blowing past deadlines to get the work done. The Natural Resources Defense Council says about 30,000 water lines were dug up and inspected after a water switch in Flint in 2014 caused lead to leach off old pipes, spoiling the drinking water system. About a third of the pipes were replaced. The Defense Council says there are about 1,900 homes where the city never went back to fix the property workers dug up, leaving broken driveways and sidewalks and ripped up lawns. So a judge has allowed the state of Michigan to step in and assume responsibility for managing the work being conducted by Flint's contractors. Flint Mayor Sheldon Neely says the remainder of the work should cost more than $4.75 million, and he says the city is grateful for the help. I'm Donna Warder.
Changing of the guard. Glass ceiling shattered. Early returns show Claudia Sheinbaum with a sizable lead in Mexico's presidential election to replace outgoing President Andrea Manuel Lopez Obrador. Both Reuters and The Washington Post are reporting that Sheinbaum was ahead in 5 different exit polls, and the final tallies may not be known until the end of the day today. If she's elected, Sheinbaum would become Mexico's first ever woman leader. Her biggest task? Dealing with the nation's drug cartels and illegal entries into the United States. Mexico's 2024 election has been the bloodiest in their nation's history, with as many as 38 candidates for local and regional offices assassinated during the campaign. America in the Morning continues. An apology has been offered by the publisher of the film 2,000 Mules to someone portrayed in that movie, correspondent Norman Hall reports.
The publisher of 2,000 Mules, Salem Media Group, has issued a statement apologizing to a Georgia man who was shown in the film and falsely accused of ballot fraud during the 2020 election. The widely debunked film includes surveillance videos showing Mark Andrews, his face blurred, putting 5 ballots in a drop box in suburban Atlanta. A voiceover by conservative pundit and filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza accuses Andrews of breaking the law. Andrews was actually dropping off the ballots for himself, his wife, and 3 adult children, which is legal in Georgia. Andrews' lawsuit against D'Souza and the group True the Vote is pending. I'm Norman Hall.
Mark Zuckerberg turned 40 last month, and now it seems that Facebook is focusing on regaining some of their younger users. Here's Chuck Palm with that in today's Tech Report.
Meta Corporation's Facebook says they are now attracting the highest number of young adults since the last 3 years. Facebook, that just turned 20, and Mark Zuckerberg, who turned 40 last month, marked their anniversary by showing the company's efforts in the last few years to capture the attention of young adults. Younger social media users tend to flock to TikTok, owned by China's ByteDance Corporation, but Facebook has claimed 40 million U.S. and Canadian young adults aged 18 to 29 now check their Facebook daily. A Meta spokesperson said that they have charted 5 quarters of healthy app usage growth among young adults, and Meta's chief of Facebook, Tom Ellison, said that the anniversary prompted executives to realize that Facebook needed to evolve to stay relevant for the next generation. Ellison said in an interview that young users appeared to come to Facebook initially to use sections like the marketplace, groups, and dating in key moments of their lives, such as when they need to furnish an apartment for the first time. Let us know how you use Facebook at allthetoptech.tech. I'm Chuck Palm.
Robert Workman Sports is sponsored by Untuck It. Get your Father's Day gifts at our 80-plus stores or untuckit.com. Untuck It shirts designed to be worn untucked.
The Edmonton Oilers are back in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 2006. They edged the Dallas Stars 2-1 last night to win the Western Conference Final in 6 games. Connor McDavid had a goal and an assist, both in the first period. Stuart Skinner kicked out 34 shots on goal. The Stanley Cup Finals begin Saturday night in Florida. The Panthers ousted the New York Rangers for a return trip to the Finals. Florida lost to Vegas last year. The NBA Finals between the Mavericks and the Celtics begin Thursday night in Boston. Baseball, Juan Soto's second dinger of the game was a go-ahead 2-run shot in the ninth that helped the Yankees cut down the Giants 7-5. New York has won 5 straight and now has the best record in the majors at 42-19. The Diamondbacks' Ketel Marte led off their game with a homer, then belted a go-ahead 2-run shot in the ninth for a 5-4 win over the Mets. Arizona manager Torey Lovullo.
Started off the game with a home run, gave us a huge lift, and then he had to help us recover and win this game. It didn't surprise me.
Elsewhere, the Cardinals trimmed the Phillies in 10 innings last night. Nolan Gorman hit a 2-run homer and singled in the winner in extras. Tigers got 4 in the 10th to down the Red Sox. Brewers doubled up the White Sox with their 5th straight win. Chicago has lost 11 in a row. Dodgers shut out the Rockies. Gavin Stone and the Quarrymen with a 5-hitter. Rangers blanked the Marlins. Andrew Heaney and the Meanies scattered 7 hits. Texas with back-to-back shutouts for the first time since 2016. Nationals knocked off the Guardians. Cleveland had won 9 in a row at home. Mariners swamped the Angels. LA has dropped 5 straight. Royals score 3 in the bottom of the ninth to tip the Padres. Twins, Rays, Blue Jays, Braves, and Reds win. At the French Open, women's top seed Iga Swiatek advanced to the quarters with a double bagel, winning Love and Love as she looks to defend her title. 3-seed Coco Gauff won her 4th round match. Men's number 1 and defending champion Novak Djokovic looks to advance to the quarterfinals this morning. That's Monday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. Jenny from the block pulls the plug. That and more when America in the Morning returns after these messages. This is America in the Morning. It was the cat's meow at the box office as the Garfield movie clawed its way to the top spot in theaters over the weekend. Entertainment correspondent Margie Zaraletta has more.
Oh, cheddar. Cheese is my love language.
The Garfield movie earned another $14 million in North American theaters in its second week of release, according to studio estimates. That gives it the top spot at the box office.
Hi. Well, looky.
She is the perfect fit, I promise.
Did she even see you?
She was about to.
What are you doing? Don't do this. No.
The films If and Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, each earned an estimated $10.8 million, with If having a slight lead.
What a wonderful day! Are we thankful for the words of Caesar? We are thankful. Do we bend our heads? We bend. Say his words.
The number 4 movie is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, with The Fall Guy at number 5. It was a quiet weekend for movies during a quiet year. Movie ticket sales for 2024 are down nearly 24% compared to this time last year. I'm Archie Zaraletta.
Actress and singer Jennifer Lopez has put the brakes on her upcoming summer tour. Kevin Carr tells us what led to her decision.
On Friday, Jennifer Lopez announced she was canceling her upcoming arena tour. This came after weeks of speculation about her marriage to Ben Affleck and rumors of low ticket sales. This Is Me Now was originally promoted as a look at the 54-year-old singer's life.
I'm just the girl I've always been. I am Jenny from the block, and this is me now.
It included a new album and 2 tie-in movies that dropped on Prime in February.
Whenever someone asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, my answer was always in love.
Friday's announcement said she plans to spend more time with her children, family, and close friends. In a personal statement on her website, she said, quote, "I am completely heartsick and devastated about letting you down." Lopez isn't the first artist to cancel all or part of a tour. Recently, the Black Keys canceled their upcoming arena tour to focus on smaller venues. Other artists like Pink and Justin Bieber have also canceled dates. After Taylor Swift's record-breaking sales last year, some concert fans may not be able to afford the high cost of arena tours. Over the years, the number of smaller venues have gone down significantly, which is part of why the Department of Justice went after Ticketmaster and Live Nation. Lopez still has plenty on her plate, though.
Outside, it's kind of a big action movie, but it has, at the emotional core, a story about love and friendship.
In spite of poor reviews, her new film Atlas is topping the charts on Netflix. I'm Kevin Carr.
That's our show for today, Monday, June 3rd, 2024. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. Our senior producer, Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.